If you want to know more and for the history behind this story, you can visit www.sabc.co.za/TRC. The SABC's new website will also cover the story extensively on www.sabcnews.co.za. So you can visit those websites to get some more information. But joining us now in studio is the SACP member, Ben Martins. Now, you spent some time with Chris Hani in Exile, and to join us now, very good morning to you, Mr. Ben Martins, former Transport Minister.
Good morning, sir.
Are you well?
I'm very well, thank you.
Now, you are a member of the Politburo as well as the Central Committee of the SACP, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, let's just go back a little bit more in terms of your association with Chris Hani. Tell us a little bit about that.
I joined the African National Congress in 1979, and later the same year I was recruited into the South African Communist Party by the current minister in the presidency, Comrade Jeff Radebe. And then I was based in KwaZulu-Natal, Pietermaritzburg, and one of my responsibilities then, I was working at the Lay Ecumenical Center. I was responsible for the Youth League, DCO Matiwane Youth League, which I formed, and the formation of the DOC Matiwane Youth League was to recruit youth for the African National Congress and also to identify cadres for recruitment to the South African Communist Party and also for Umkhonto we Sizwe.
What year are we talking about?
We are talking about 79, 1980 and 1981.
When you met Chris Hani as a commander, what sort of person was he?
He struck me as somebody very conscious of the role that he had as a commander, to nurture people. There was always a sense of valor, fearlessness, somebody who never issued an instruction or gave a command or expected somebody to do a task which he himself would not do. In that context, whilst I had to report to Comrade Jeff, who was based in Lesotho, and at times to Comrade Chris, I knew that there were numerous times when both of them would slip into the country in order to do ANC, Communist Party, and MK work. So in that context, I got to know Comrade Chris as somebody who was fearless and somebody who was principled. He personified the best of cadreship, selflessness and dedication to the liberation of a future South Africa then.
Besides being a commander, he was also a family man. What do you know of him as a family person in charge of his family and his compassion to fellow South Africans?
The little insight that I had on the visits to Lesotho, in Lesotho I never got to know Comrade Dimpho Hani very well, but I knew that Comrade Chris was a very loving husband. His children, two daughters whom I saw in Lesotho and later met in South Africa, were very close to him. He felt very protective of them. And this loving nature, this fatherly nature that he had, commitment, sense of family, was also projected on his responsibilities as a cadre of MK, and also what he wanted for South Africa's future. So all that was there. And he was always somebody who followed the wisdom of the political leadership of the African National Congress. At the time that the ANC decided to suspend the armed struggle, it was a difficult decision. Then in Pietermaritzburg, one of our leaders, Comrade Harry Gwala, that decision did not sit comfortably on him. But
why was that?
He felt that the struggle, the oppressor, apartheid regime, had not been vanquished to the degree that he wanted. He felt that apartheid was still in transition then. Mm-hmm. But once the leadership had taken that decision, the next day, Comrade Chris Hani was in Pietermaritzburg, mm-hmm. and he met with MK units there, and he told us that it's not for us as cadres of the movement to like or dislike a decision. Once the political leadership has taken that decision, it was for us to carry out that decision.
Mm-hmm. Now, the apartheid regime saw him as very militant and a communist. Was he that militant?
You had to be militant in order to liberate this country. But in his militancy, he upheld all the codes, all the ethos of conducting a liberation struggle. Mm-hmm. What they taught us in MK, we hated the apartheid system, mm-hmm. but we did not hate Afrikaners, the human beings that carried out that system. Mm-hmm. So that's a major transition that we had to take. Mm-hmm. Because when we joined Umkhonto weSizwe, the ideal was that we want to get a gun and we want to shoot these boys who are oppressing and killing our people. Mm-hmm. After June 76, mm-hmm. that was foremost in our minds.
And therefore the slogan, kill the Boer, kill the farmer?
Yeah, mm-hmm. it came out in that context. Mm-hmm. But it was for the ANC to temper that anger and to politicize the youth that came there, to say that we are not conducting a racist struggle. There are white people who are committed to the struggle. Whites like Bram Fischer and countless other white comrades who dedicated their lives to the struggle. So that's what we had to understand.
So he adhered to the Central Command in terms of laying down the arms, and he followed them through. But why was he then assassinated?
Comrade Chris was assassinated because the extremists, right-wing extremists, they realized that the ANC was prepared to negotiate. The ANC and the alliance were prepared to instruct all their constituencies that this is the way forward. And with the careless, cowardly assassination of Comrade Chris, they sought to bring civil war upon South Africa. And the day they killed him, that was the emotive reaction, the immediate reaction. People wanted to take arms. And that's where the stature, the bigness of Comrade Mandela came to the fore. Mm-hmm. He was the one who said that we can't do this. We cannot let the blood of Chris Hani be spilled and for it to generate civil war in this country. Mm-hmm. He had to explain that exactly this is what the right wing wanted us to do.
Mr. Martins, where were you at the time when Chris Hani was assassinated?
I was in Pietermaritzburg. Mm-hmm. I was staying in Edendale Township.
And what happened after his assassination? Did you come up to Johannesburg?
We had to come up to Joburg because immediately then we had to organize, to meet with units of MK within KZN and also do political work to explain to people that it's not the time to let our guards down. Mm-hmm. It was not the time to engage in racial conflict.
Now this morning, a very important press briefing, the parole decision by the minister. Your thoughts on it?
The difficult part of the decision that the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services has to take, there are processes in government. And there are merits that people have to meet in order to obtain medical parole. The minister will take that decision. But in taking that decision, for us as the Communist Party, there are issues that have to be answered. For one, the same Clive Derby Lewis has been receiving medical treatment at a hospital where they treat cancer patients. Whilst he was being treated in this manner, he used the name of a fellow cancer patient there. So he's an imposter. Mm-hmm. So now clarity also needs to be given when those medical records are used there. Whose medical records are at issue here, you see? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If we say that Clive W. Lewis was using one patient's name, yes, and the medical records are in both, two medical records in one person's name. So there needs to be clarity there, you see. What's the state of Clive W. Lewis? And what's the state of the other gentleman there, you see? The decision, what makes it difficult, what makes it emotive, what makes it painful? For the majority of ANC members, for the majority of South African Communist Party members and the Alliance, and also for the broader citizens of South Africa, is that they know the history of Comrade Chris Hani. Comrade Chris Hani was not afraid to die. He was not afraid of death. But for him to meet his death in the manner in which he did, after he was the one who, moving around the country, as I said earlier, advocating peace, reconciliation in this country. And he goes out and goes and buys a newspaper. And on his way back, some coward, racist, right-winger shoots him dead there. A man who's unarmed. That's not the way for a commander to die, you see.
Yes.
So this is the painful side there, you see. Mm-hmm. If Clive W. Lewis and co. had met us on the battlefield and Chris Hani had died there, it would be something different. We'd be able to live with that. But it's the manner in which he was killed that makes it difficult for us to reconcile and forgive the likes of Clive W. Lewis.
Mr. Martins, thank you so much for coming
to join us
on AM News. That was SACP Politburo, a committee member of the SACP and a friend of Chris Hani, as well as his commander, Mr. Ben Martins, in studio.